Let's start this orange and partridge soft tackle by setting the hook in the vise, which is done. You either want a wet fly hook, or in a pinch you could use a dry fly hook, but preferably a wet fly hook. I'm going to start the thread base about 2 eye widths back from the hook eye. I'm not going to wrap all the way to the end of the bend like we did on some of the other flies. We're going to stop at a position where the thread hangs about even with the hook point. And then we'll wrap back forward to our starting position. Alrighty, now I've already prepared a feather. It's a partridge feather. I want you to notice that I trimmed the fibers off of one side, and then some of the fuzzy stuff out of the base end so I could tie it on. And I'm just going to tie it on in place right here at the front end of the fly. And we'll wrap, binding that stem about halfway back onto the body. And then I'm going to trim the waist end off. Okay, now we're just going to come back up to the front of the fly, and I'm going to capture a piece of gold wire and tie it to the bottom of the hook shank, just like we have on some of the previous flies. And then I'll wrap almost all the way back to the front and stop. The back part of the body will be constructed out of some single strand floss. Just attach it right there, and then we're going to double wrap it first, starting at the front, going towards the back, and then we'll come back forward over that so that we get a good cover, and we want it to be nice and smooth. This is kind of a slow operation, but it's all right. We'll get right here to the end, and we'll come back forward, placing each turn tight against the previous turn. That's how we keep it nice and smooth. I slipped right there, so let me back up and rewrap that piece right there. Okay, now I'll tie that off on the bottom of the hook, same right next to where I tied the original on. Now I'm going to trim off the waist. Be careful not to cut the thread. I'm going to reverse wrap the gold wire to form the rib, again spacing each turn so that it's evenly positioned like we've done on the previous flies. Now, I used a really fine wire before, didn't have to worry about it, so I cut it with my scissors. But this one is a little bit stiffer wire, so I'm just going to worry it off, twist it off. Doesn't take very long. And it came free. And I'll take my fingernail and just tuck that down so it doesn't cut the thread, and overwrap that. The last part of our body is a tuft of hare's ear dubbing, and I'm just going to nurse out a little bit of that and twist it on the thread. Alright, now we'll just go ahead and wrap that into place. We don't want it to be twisted up really tight. We want that to provide a pretty good ball of dubbing behind that hackle, because its purpose, besides to form the thorax, of course, is to provide a base to keep the hackle fibers standing up straight. I'm going to attach a hackle pliers and slowly nurse that around the hook so that I can put on a couple of sparse turns of the partridge hackle. 2 is about all you need. And I'll trim away the waste, set that down. Alright, we'll use a whip finish tool to finish that off. Finish that up. And like our other flies, we'll put a little daub of head cement or Sally Hansen's nail polish, whichever you happen to have, to finish the fly. Now that makes a pretty good looking fly, and it's really important that that hackle be fairly sparse. It seems to be much more effective fished in the surface film like this, and for me anyway, it works really good as an emerger fished into the surface film. But anyhow, there you are.